Hello, fellow YouTubers. Here is Jedi Ondo transmitting to you from the cave that I made myself into from this quarantine, coronavirus, and all that. I come to you this day to talk to you about a thing that is very important to me, and it's basically energy. As in this movie, Planet of the Humans, produced by Michael Moore. You might know the guy from his movie, Bowling for Columbine, unless you have living on a rock for these past, I think, 20 years, perhaps. Well, time goes by, right? So, what I come here to talk about this movie, Planet of the Humans, just recently uploaded for free. It's on the link. You want to have a look at it. It's about the clean energy issue, about our energy sources that we currently use. And the thing is that it tackles the issue from a different standpoint, and it surprised me because I am used to hearing from the left that basically we have to go full renewables energy without knowing what's inside of those renewables energy. I mean the components that make solar panels and windmills. Basically, we're talking about many kind of materials that require certain kind of incentive and extensive, how you call it, mining process that pollutes the earth horribly, horribly pollutes the earth. It takes a lot of chemical processes and a lot of oil and coal to produce those kind of components from the rare earth minerals that cobalt, or for example lithium, iridium, all those kind of components that basically are not very easy to find, and basically trashes the place around when you try to extract them. So this is not a review of the movie. It's more like an addendum because the movie is pretty good. It's pretty decent, but I think it lacks uh, three key points that I think I'm going to try to portray to you in this review or review or addendum. And basically, we have first the issue of nuclear energy. We have the issue of Malthusian suggestions that I got a buy from the movie, and other stuff like ROE, which is energy return for energy invest, which is kind of very important to understand what happens in energy and energy related stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen so you can look at my PowerPoint presentation over here. And here we go, boys. All right, so first of all, here's the movie. If you haven't seen it, please do. It's a very good movie. You have to see it. It's gonna be it's like Thomas Piketty, The Capital in 21st Century. It's a must see. It's a must read, right? So uh, first of all, let's talk about ROA, which is a point that it wasn't tackled, or it was tackled, but not in a very deep sense in the movie. So basically, it's how much energy you have to invest to get an amount of X of energy, and it can be in this rate. If you have an ROE, for example, of 99 to 1, 1 meaning can be a joule, a unit of energy, a barrel of oil. So if you get 99 from 1, well, you're in Sweet Street now, because that's a very good return of investment for energy invest. So as you can see, you can extract over here in the, I'm sorry, you can extract over here in the oil drill. Then you get extraction, then you get the refining, then you go to the transportation oil, then you get to the infrastructure, and then you get to a part where you actually consume the oil. And all these steps consume energy. So when you end up, it's what you're gonna get after all this process comes from this little tiny formula that is energy out against energy in, divided by energy in. So you get your rate from that. It's very easy. There are some other ways to extract the ROI, which are more complex. Over the links, you can find more information in detail. But I'm trying to do a dissertation about this. I'm not a nuclear engineer over here, so you just go through and do the maths yourself. But this is a standard of what is being used in the industry. So first of all, we have that ROI, the rate that you get from the energy invest. Well, if you go to solar panels, you go, especially in Germany, you are not getting your return of investment. It's crazy. It's basically, you will do better just to burn the freaking coal or the oil instead of producing a solar panel or a windmill. Instead of going all that process, you're better off for the planet, for your footprint. Just burn it up, man. It's just that simple. And over here you have, gas at 28%. You have coal at 30%. That's very straightforward. No one's going to debate that. And then you get hydro, and that's when things get interesting, because then you get nuclear. And happens to be that nuclear, according to this research that was done by Weisbach, was done by gave us 70 rate of energy invests. That means that if you invest 1 unit in nuclear energy, you're gonna receive 75, man. That's a lot of return of investment over there. And then if you go back to hydro, it's very good. It's a very good source of energy. I'm not going to debate that, but it's not reliable all the time, because if you have a drought, for example, you're going to get problems over there. And for example, if you build a lot of dams, basically you are creating more spaces where water is going to evaporate and go back to the atmosphere whatsoever. And if you don't have a good battery to store that energy, you're not getting 49, you're getting 35. And you have to understand it. All the time that you're producing energy, either you are consuming it or storing it. And storing it means batteries. And batteries are costly as hell. And it's not feasible. Like that Tesla guy, Elon Musk, trying to tell us, and I think he's taking us for a ride. It's not easy, and it's not gonna be technologically or physically possible to create that kind of batteries to store that kind of energy that we need to keep going the civilization. So first things first about the movie is no mention whatsoever of nuclear energy. We have the boogeyman of nuclear energy, even though we only have like, how many? 2 big incidents, Chernobyl, and talking about Chernobyl over here. Then we have 3 Mile Island, and then we have Fukushima. But if you go into all the deaths that have been produced by those disasters and all related deaths by nuclear energy, you're going to see that the safest energy is nuclear. More people fell down and died from installing solar panel than died from nuclear energy. So whoever tells you that nuclear energy is not safe, well, you can reply, then nothing's safe, man, but the safest energy out there is nuclear. And if we're talking about, it's going to be used for nuclear proliferation in the arms race, well, man, it's the opposite. Because if you're going to use the fissile material that has been already produced and stored in nuclear weapons, you're reducing the arsenal. So I will make a point that instead of going there, instead of telling you that it's not safe. It's safer. It's safer for the planet. It's safer for human civilization to use that fuel and not to stockpile it in nuclear weapons. Well, that's my take on that. And well, one of the drawbacks of nuclear energy, and I have to say it's important drawback, is that first of all you have waste, and that waste is gonna take. I don't know. I think that the median life of nuclear energy of uranium was like 75 years, I think. I might be wrong. Please review that and let me know later on the comments. But basically, it's going to go away. It's going to reduce its radioactivity in the long run. But if you go into solar panels, the components that go into those, the toxic components that degrade over time into the environment, that thing is not going to go away. That thing is forever. And that thing is going to pollute this this planet for a long time. And let me tell you something, if we're talking about waste disposal, the containment of nuclear waste is way better than the other options combined. But well, that's not the conversation we are having with people like Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders that just closed the nuclear plant in Burma, and he has to burn all those biomass to get it going with the same energy, which is ridiculous. And the other drawback to this conversation is, well, it's hard to find experts. It's not that easy to find experts that actually are nuclear scientists or nuclear engineers. Those guys are the smartest tools in the toolbox. It's the smartest people around. It's the smartest people in the room. It's not easy to train them. Basically, you need generations of training, and we have been throwing energy, nuclear energy, like it's the filthiest thing that we have ever created in the history of humankind. There are not enough manpower with enough brain cells to get this going over. So that will be my take, my drawback from this. And well, going to the next part of the movie, I found that they talk about and they didn't talk about France. And France is important because France has met its requirements of CO2 production. Yeah, those same guys that drink wine, eat frogs, and speaks like mo, those guys have 70% of their energy in nuclear. Basically 68 nuclear reactors all over France. Some of them kind of old, and that's going to be dangerous in the long run. But they have 70% of, or at least of their energy based on nuclear energy, which is a good thing because they are not producing CO2. They are really achieve the goal of producing less carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and they are not burning gas that much, so kudos for them. I mean, who would have guessed that the French were smarter than the Germans, dude? I mean, those guys, the Germans, they just went full clean, and I'm air quoting here, with their and disposed of several nuclear reactors. I don't know what they're gonna do. They're burning gas like there's no tomorrow, and biomass, which has a lot of problems. You can watch the video of Plannet of the Humans if you want more information about the drawbacks of doing that. Well, in all this, I just want to make space and think about nuclear energy seriously, without religion, without oh, my ecology and nuclear hurt my pee-pee and all that kind of childish discussion that doesn't get us anywhere. I mean, if there is a possibility, is it feasible that we can use this energy to basically get rid of our problem with CO2 and and make sure that civilization, human civilization, as we know it, with the level of technological progress and sophistication that we have right now, will go on. I think we have to review this. We have to review this technology, and we have to take it seriously. You don't just trash and throw poo-poo over something because you don't like it. You have to think about things if they work or they don't work. Well, going on, one of the solutions that the genius experts in the movie or in the documentary came very close, but they didn't dare to say his name, was Thomas Malthus. Yeah, Thomas Malthus, the one that say that population expands geometrically, sorry, and fruit production is arithmetically. Well, in the movie, they tell all the time that we have a lot of people, that we are too much people around. And that goes back to this guy. This guy said that there was a lot of people in England centuries ago, and they weren't being able to feed them with the current resources they have. He wasn't taking into account social programs because he was of the upper class, and he wasn't taking into account that technology proved him wrong over and over and over and over again over the centuries. This guy was wrong. Nevertheless, there are people that still think he's right, and we have to reduce population, which I think is not the problem here. I'm going to explain it just shortly. And I think that this idea, it's very wrong because it has been used in the past with nefarious consequences, like eugenics, like laissez-faire economics, where you don't give a damn about the poor, or you decide that some people deserve to exist and some don't, and well, that's gonna go to a path of pain, if you ask me. You go that path, you basically go into Darwinian social Darwinism, which has proven to be wrong, morally wrong, technologically wrong, ethically wrong, wherever you want wrong. It's just wrong. And basically this puts the problem in other people because they say, oh, there is too much people in the world. Well, who is too much in the world? Not you, not in the upper class. Of course, not you, you smart, genius, rich guy with fame and all. No, it's the little guys. It's the little people that they are too much. There are too much humans around, too many Morlocks. We have to get rid of them. We have to court them. And that I found very, very, very unethically. I don't want to go full demonetization here, but I have worse words for that kind of thinking. And then you have this graph taken from the World Bank that shows that, in fact, fertility has gone down from the last 100 years. And these people are asking for less people. Well, what do you want? Well, one-child policy like in China? We start shooting them up? Do we fire up the ovens, camarade? I don't think that's a good idea, my friends. I think that they are over-exaggerating the overpopulation problem that we have in the world. I'm not going to say we don't have an overpopulation problem, but it's not as worse as this problem. This problem is a real problem. We have 10% of the upper class in this world, the affluent people, producing 49% of all carbon emissions. All right? Let it sink in. 10% of the people in the world are producing 49% of carbon emissions, while the poorest 50% are producing only around 10% of carbon dioxide. So I just want to ask, who is too many in this world? Evidently, it's not the people downstairs, it's the people upstairs. And if you're asking yourself, well, hey, Riono, Am I part of that 10%? Well, I doubt that you are part of it because you will have to earn like 159, 158 Ks a year, which I hope you do, but I don't think so, man. So rest well, you are not part of the problem. But what I find mischieving about saying there is too much people is not attacking the point of there is too few consuming too much in luxurious and ridiculous things like a new jet, private airplane, all those McMansions that they surround themselves, and all that expensive lifestyle, frivolous. You know the kind of people, the bastards in the elite. Those guys are the ones that are costing us our future, and the governments are just letting happen it everything, enjoying the richness of our planet while giving us the middle finger and passing us the invoice. And if you ask me, uh, well, I think it's my right to tell those pricks to, well, in fact, to tell my government to tax those pricks and invest in something that actually works to reduce the CO2 emissions and the pollution of this world and the trashing that we're doing in society. Uh, some people might say that I'm a communist. I'm not. I'm Keynesian, but that's another subject for another talk. So these idiots are the ones that are trashing our planet and they are costing our future and our children's future. And well, I'm just saying it's not Malthus isn't right. It's not. It's about consumption, but it's not about the people that consume the less. It's about the people that consumes more than everyone else. So moving on, we have another problem, which I think is ridiculous. Is this thing about planned obsolescence, and we have this idea that we have to use uh, one phone for every freaking year. I have been with phones for 2, 3, 5 years, even all those Nokia didn't uh, that didn't die ever, that just keep going and going and going. Oh man, I love those. I really hate my shitty smartphone. It could be the greatest technology, but it lasts like a day. But I try to keep my phone or my computer. For example, my computer have more than 4 years, I think. It's been so long ago that I bought it, and I'm not planning changing my computer anytime soon. So I mean, if you can keep things with you for a long time, do so. But it's not only your fault if you consume a lot of stuff. Many stuff is it's how you make or designed to fail in a certain time. Just as the case of the printers. In many printers, and I think it's all printers, they have this chip. Then whenever you have like 10,000 prints or printouts uh, over, the machine just stop, and it's not because there is a problem with the components of the machine, or it's just the use or whatever. It's just programmed with the chip to fail, to stop working when you reach that limit, when you reach that number, and you can hack your own printer in order to bypass that, and you can print away wherever you want, man. So that's a shitty move, and that's a move that is done all over the place. All companies are doing that. And here's an idea: why don't we produce things that last for long, like this bulb? This bulb that I'm showing here has been lighting, I think, firecracker station for 100 years. So there's no need to make things that break just in a few months. I mean, they can tell you that it's more, if it consumes less energy, it's more energy efficient, wherever. Nothing is more energy efficient that not producing new things. you don't waste that much energy. For example, those guys that throw their old car and buy a Prius because they think that they're doing good with the planet, they're morons, because basically you're throwing a good car that will consume way less oil and carbon and other materials than the car than it costs to create the new car that you have now. So try to stick with things a little bit more. I have a new car because I didn't have a car like 2 years ago, and I think I'm gonna stick with it for 5 more, 10 more, whatever, man. I'm just gonna drive it to the graveyard. I'm not gonna sell that car. I'm just gonna, well, in parts maybe, but that car is gonna last me for a long time. And I think that's the ecological way to do. It's not consuming. It's consuming less. It's consuming smart. It's consuming things that you really need, clothes that you can wear for a long time instead of buying cheap crap and throwing it to the garbage every once in a while because you don't want to seem dull with your friends or whatever, dude. That's just moronic. And I want to make an space for a special country that no longer is with us and has this policy of creating things to last for a long time. And it's the Democratic Republic of Deutschland. Yeah, those commie bastards had this kind of policy that you have to create things, that you have to produce things to last. I'm not saying that we go full communist here, but we can have a policy from the government stating with ISOs or whatever governmental policy that you have to produce things up to a standard of durability in order to pollute and consume less. For example, computers. When you want to escalate your computer, when you want to go for you want to increase the power of your computer, you have to buy a new one because motherboards are always changing, so you cannot use the same processor in the same slot. You have to change the whole damn thing, which is wasteful. If you ask me, you could just change the processor. Some things like this could work, and we don't have to go full communists, but also we don't have to go full whatever the master of the corporation says is good because it's good business. No, it's not. It's not good business. It's not good business for the planet. So please stop planned. Please stop planned obsolescence. Please, governments, please do this. If you want to save the goddamn planet, please do this. And if you don't, we're gonna find you in your bunkers and we're going to get you out and give you a good beating because of not hearing of our advice. So moving onwards, that will be all for this presentation. The last part is in Spanish because I'm bilingual. And well, guys, I really think that there is not much to add to this. It's really simple. I think that the clean energy that we have been promised is just fables, and it's just a myth, and it's dangerous because people are buying into it, and we're going to waste a lot of resources in things that doesn't work. Go watch the movie, please, and also take into consideration that we are part of the problem. Yeah, I agree. We are part of the problem, and for that, we are part of the problem. And let me just go back to my screen. So yes, yes, we are part of the problem, but when people tells you that the problem is in everyone's hand, then it's no one's problem. And I think in this case, we do have responsibles. And those responsibles are politicians and are the 10% that controls more than half of the wealth of the planet. They decide for us what our future might look like. And I don't like the picture that they are taking. I don't like the portrait that they are making. I don't like it at all. And I don't think you guys, if you're watching this video, like it either. So I don't like those solutions that tell us, and it's not because I'm trying to avoid responsibility here. I agree, and I'm trying to do my best to not be a dick with the planet. But those guys are the responsibles. Those guys have the big burden because they have the big bucks, and they are not taking the responsibility seriously. So we have to take it for them. And if that means that we have to take some resources for them to solve the the problem that we're into, well, then be it. I don't see any problem with that. We have done that in the New Deal. It worked until we have Reagan that decided to go back to laissez-faire. Well, my friends, that's not the way to go. That doesn't work for us. Might work for them, but not in the long run. We only have one planet, and we only have each other to take care of. So be good with one another. Thanks for hearing me. This is a Jedi Ondo out.